think I need a little bit of positivity in my life, and I'm going to do the positivity tag. I'm Jack, this is Spread Book Joy, and today I'm going to do the positivity tag, which was created by my lovely friend Gareth over at Book Songs and Other Magic, who is a very positive person. Gareth is just wonderful. I've met Gareth in real life. I've talked to him so many times about our shared interest, which we have very many shared interests. We both love science fiction fantasy, we both love the Muppets, just love chatting stuff with Gareth. I've got a really good live stream over on his channel. He's got where he does these desert island flicks where we just talked about films, which is another thing that we both love and enjoy and love talking about. He's just a wonderful person. Gareth is a musician, he's a teacher, he's a lovely person, and he just got a great collection of books that he loves to talk about, and his channel's a wonderful place, and I'm very, very pleased that we have become friends. So Gareth, lovely Gareth, tagged me to do this tag himself after creating it. I'm going to try and do it in one shot. We'll give it a try. We'll see. I want to try and get this up and out because I haven't put a video out in a while. This has been on my list of videos to make for a while, and it's one that's quite chatty. So I'm just going to talk about the tags, and hopefully there won't be too much editing at the end of it. So there are 6 prompts. The first one is name a book that has made you happy. Could be a reading experience or a book release that has made you happy. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things. The first thing is a reading experience that recently made me happy, and that was this book, Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. This is the FOMO book club pick for September and October, and this is the book that it's a final book that Gemma and I, who run the FOMO book club, picked with Alice, our lovely friend Alice, who passed away earlier this year, and she set the FOMO book club up with us, and it's brought all of us immense joy over the last 2 years that we were running it together, and now Gemma and I are continuing it because it brought us so much joy, and Alice as well, and makes us feel connected to her. And the last 2 books that we read for it were books that Alice actually bought me, and she bought me, this is the last book, Horror Store by Grady Hendrix, and I really wanted a physical copy of it because look, it looks like an IKEA catalogue because it is a ghost story set in a furniture store, and the book itself is just full of it's designed like an IKEA catalogue, so it's joyful to read. But what I loved about reading it, even more than the fact that it was just a gorgeous book to read, and it was from Alice, and I'm going to be talking to Gemma about it soon. What I loved about it was a fun book, and I sat and read it in one sitting, and I had a day to myself, and I just decided I'm just going to sit and read an entire book. For the first time in ages, I have done that. I'm not like the world's fastest reader, but I can read a book that's under 300 pages. I can read that in a day, and it will take me all day, but I will read it in a day. And this is a short book. It was just perfect to just sit and read an entire story and just consume the whole story in one sitting, and I loved it. It's the first time I've done that in such a long time, and it's made me realise I want to do more of that because I used to love doing that very regularly and I haven't been able to lately. So that was a reading experience for the book, for the fact that it was my lovely friend Alice's last gift to me, and it wasn't her last gift to me actually, that's not true, but it was one of the last books that she bought for me that was for the FOMO book club. And then also just sitting and reading it in one go was bliss, absolute bliss. So that was fun. The other things he said about new releases, and I know we're supposed to maybe do one thing for each prompt, but for some prompts I'm like, I've got a few things, for other prompts I don't. New releases that brought me joy. This wasn't a new release this year, but it was released last year, and my friend Sally, my lovely friend Sally, got it for me for Christmas, and I still haven't read it. And this is a posthumous release, Terry Pratchett, A Stroke of the Pen, The Lost Stories. And we lost Terry Pratchett 6-7 years ago now, maybe more, might even be more. And it's my favourite author of all time, and it took me a while to realise it, and actually I didn't realise it until after he had passed away. But you know, you can see, well, you might not be able to see, but I've got every single Discworld book and then some. I've got his, his books, his pre-Discworld books, Strata, The Dark Side of the Sun, The Carpet People. I've got his books that he wrote with Stephen Baxter, which I haven't finished. I've only read the first one, but I want to get back to. So when he passed away, it made me desperately sad that there will be no more Terry Pratchett new releases or unreleased things, because the other thing that he did when he died was he didn't want anyone taking his work and his ideas, because he had like a whole bank of things that he would just write scenes or ideas and things that he wanted to develop, and he didn't want anyone writing that for him. He didn't want someone, you know, being paid by the publishers to write a Terry Pratchett book, which I love because his voice was very unique as far as I'm concerned. And so he got his assistant Rob Wilkins to roll over all of his laptop, his computer and his discs and all the things that he kept things on, steamrolled. So when this was talked about in the press, I was like, oh my gosh. Terry Pratchett was a journalist and he wrote for local newspapers, and one of the things that he did years ago when he was very young was he wrote stories for children in the local paper under a pseudonym, and some dedicated Terry Pratchett fans found these, like, combed through back issues of these local newspapers and found what they believed to be Terry Pratchett's stories, and they're called The Lost Stories. They've been collected together and published, and yeah, so that's really exciting, right? Because we never get any more Terry Pratchett. He made sure that nothing that he'd written and didn't want published would ever be published, but these were published, so it's not like they're going against his wishes. He published these in a local paper and they were long forgotten about, and they've been found. So I'm very excited to get to these at some point, and hopefully very soon. The other thing that really excited me was these 2 wordless picture books by Aaron Becker, who I am a huge fan of. Aaron Becker is a brilliant picture book illustrator. He draws wordless picture books and stories. He's an amazing storyteller, and if you've never read Journey, Quest and Return, which is his Journey trilogy, then yeah, I highly urge you to. They're just magical, absolutely magical, and I notice something new every time I read them. And he released these this year. He won some medals for them, I believe, Carnegie medals, I think. And this is The Tree in the River, which is just the same image of this tree in this river and told over time. And I've read this one, but the other book that I haven't read yet, because I want to sit down and look at it properly, is The Last Zookeeper, and it's about a robot who is trying to take care of this zoo of animals once the world is flooded. So a very kind of apocalyptic, dystopian kind of thing. But you know, it's a commentary on the environment and climate change and stuff like that. But yeah, Aaron Becker's just wonderful, and he could be in either of those authors, could be in my go-to author question, which is the next prompt, because the next prompt is name an author that you find completely reliable, always a safe bet. And I'm not going to talk about Terry Pratchett, because all I ever do for these, and this is why I was thinking, like, oh gosh, I usually talk about Terry Pratchett or Jane Austen or whatever. I could talk about Stephen King, but these are authors I've talked about repeatedly on my channel. So I'm going to talk about some authors that I don't talk about very often on my channel, who are safe bets, go-to auto-buy authors for me. I say auto-buy, I haven't bought any of their most recent stuff because I've just got, these are the authors that I used to read very, very regularly and buy very regularly, but I know I will have a good time with them. So the first up is Peter Robinson's DCI Banks series. There are 20 something, maybe more, and I heard that the last DCI Banks book has come out recently. So these are police procedurals. Detective Chief Inspector Banks, Alan Banks, he is a police detective in Yorkshire, and they're generally murder is what he's investigating. And I first read a Peter Robinson book when I was on holiday and discovered one of his books. You know, when sometimes people leave books in the hotel, and I was like, I'd run out of things to read because I used to bring loads of books with me. I say run out of things to read. I think I'd just went over and seen what was on the shelf and took that over what I brought with me. And one was a Peter Robinson book, and then I went through this whole phase of just devouring all of the DCI Banks books up until the point he'd released them. And then I read all the new releases, but I haven't in the last few years, since being on BookTube, read any. These are on my TBR, and I think there are like 3 more. So yeah, these were always a good go-to read for me. Auto by author. Ken Follett, Pillars of the Earth, Ken Follett. Anything I've read by Ken Follett has been brilliant. I love Ken Follett, great historical fiction author. The other one, who I don't know if, you know, people particularly like this author, but I really like this author, and I have never had a bad time with his books, and that is Matt Haig. So these are some of the Matt Haig books that I've got on my shelves, and I've loved all of these books. And yeah, Matt Haig's sort of mental health books were the ones that I kind of started with, and then I've read The Midnight Library and How to Stop Time, and lots of people think they're quite, I don't know, you know, they're not that, you know, they're quite middle of the road, they're not that exceptional, but I find them engaging. I've read his other books. I think one of them that I read, The Humans, wasn't that great, but it was still enjoyable. But I also know that basically I know if I'm picking up a Matt Haig book, I'm going to enjoy it. Whether other people do or not, I don't care. I know I am. And my last auto buy, I'm going to have a great time author, is Bill Bryson. So Bill Bryson is a non-fiction writer, and I first discovered Bill Bryson when I was doing my A-levels. And gosh, we had to do a comparison of Bill Bryson's writing with PJ O'Rourke, I believe, because they're both travel writers. But I absolutely love Bill Bryson. I do have more than these, and I can't find my other books but yeah, I absolutely love his travel writing, and I love listening to the audiobooks. Not himself reading his audiobooks though, he's not very good. There's a guy called William Roberts who reads his audiobooks as well, and he's much better at reading them than Bill Bryson is. Bill Bryson's voice is kind of soporific, but yeah, these are wonderful. I've read A Walk in the Woods, I don't know how many times, and Down Under, but I also love his books about going around Britain and stuff like that. So yeah, Bill Bryson's an auto buy, safe bet author for me. Next, name an experience that you had recently that you'll never forget, and it has to be from this year. I've got a few, but I thought I would mention that I went to see Spirited Away at the theatre in London in July, and I bought tickets for that as soon as they were released because yeah, I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan, and I know some people say it is Ghibli, and I've been told it's Ghibli, but I've been pronouncing it Ghibli my whole life, so I'm going to say Studio Ghibli. I'm a huge fan, and Spirited Away live production in the original Japanese, and there was like subtitles. It was just so magical, and the reason I went to see it, and the reason, not just because I wanted to see it, but I'd also seen My Neighbour Totoro at the Barbican in London in December, so not quite this year, but they were related because my brother bought tickets for this and we went to see it, and it had been out before and I'd missed seeing it when it was on, and we went to see it for Christmas, and it was just absolutely, I think this, to be fair, was my favourite. I loved Spirited Away, but this experience was just unbelievable. But this was just absolutely magical. I say equally, this one just tips it for me. Either one were just wonderful, but it has to be one from this year, so it's this. The other thing is I saw the Aurora Borealis this year, and yeah, I've never seen that in real life, and it was over my house. And I'm in the southwest of England, which is kind of, usually you have to go north, but that day of the solar flares when loads of people saw the aurora, I saw it, and so that was magical for me because I've never seen that. And then another thing that was just, I'll never forget, and I want to go and see next year as well, is in Dartmoor, near where I live, there was an absolutely beautiful, basically there's bluebell fields, and we saw them at the end when they were kind of dying off, and they were still breathtaking, and I can't imagine what they were like at full bloom. So next year we're going to go and try and see them when they are at their most vivid, because it looks like the entire hills will be blue, which just stunning. Okay, so those are 3 experiences I won't forget that I had this year. Number 4, a booktuber shout out, a booktuber that always makes you happy. Too hard, not going to do this one. All of my booktube friends make me immensely happy. You all bring me so much joy. The people that I speak to every day, you know who you are, my absolute lovely, some of the best friends I've made in real life, and the people that I just watch all the time and comment, and we just have so much fun. I love this little corner of the internet, so I can't pick someone out. They all make me extremely happy. Number 5, what are you most looking forward to this year that's coming up? The thing I'm looking forward to the most is I'm going to another booktuber meetup in the next few weeks, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm going to stay overnight as well where we're going, because it's quite far from where I am. I'm not going to say where it is because yeah, I don't know if we're putting it out there what we're doing, but we'll talk about it when I get back, no doubt. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's happening in a few weeks' time, so I'm very excited for that. Number 6, what are you most proud of? That's a hard one. I mean, Gareth's really making me think about this here. So I was thinking about, you know, I started immediately thinking about people that I'm proud of, you know, my partner and my family, and I was like, no, I tell you what, let's just dial it back, because there are so many things I could be proud of. Thinking about myself and what I'm most proud of is this channel. I love it. I love the fact that I put myself out there and I'm still doing it, and that it's grown into this thing that brings me such joy and has brought immense benefits to my life. But the other things that I'm most proud of, my job. I am extremely proud because this year, the last few years, I've changed my role. I used to teach in schools in front of kids. I still do that on occasion. I like to go in and do a bit of supply work every now and again, just because it's fun to be in school. I also get to go in and spend the day with kids and then leave at the end of the day, and I don't have all the other admin or bureaucratic stuff to deal with. But yeah, I work with trainee teachers. I work with people doing their masters in education. I supervise students doing their dissertations. My favourite thing I do is I tutor online. I tutor children from the ages of 9 right up to the age of my 16 GCSE, and this year I tutored a GCSE student for the first time, an English GCSE student. I'm not a secondary school teacher, and I did tell the parents that that's not what I do. They were like, no, we've heard great things about you, you've been recommended. So I tutored someone for the GCSE. So as long as you know going in that, you know, I can advise her on how to study and how to write an essay and how to do an exam and stuff like that, and how to analyse language. And you know, the GCSE is not that dissimilar to some of the exam coaching that I do for younger children, but basically, yeah, the girl got 2 grades above what she was predicted to get, and that was, I'd only worked with her for 4 months, and I was extremely proud of that. And all of my children I've worked with over the last few years have been successful in the things that they wanted to do. And then one of my children, like a few of them, after they do their exams, they stay on with me. The parents are like, oh, can they stay on with you and do something a bit more fun than exam prep, which is like creative writing and stuff. And one of my students this year, who I've worked with for, gosh, 2 years now, and we finished her exam prep last October, and I've been working with her on creative writing, and she won a creative writing competition in a local bookshop, which a lot of children, I think there were like 200 entries, and she won. And her story was amazing, and she wrote a couple for it, and she got me and her family to vote for the story and that we liked the most, and we voted for the one, and that one, it won. And the things that the authors said, because her mum sent me the footage from the prize giving, just made me so proud. Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to get emotional talking about all of my students and all of the people that I work with, and all of the families, and just how happy that makes me. So yeah, I'm most proud of that. So yeah, hopefully this has been one shot, so I can add to that fact that I'm proud I've done this in one shot. I don't think I'm going to need to do much editing apart from clip the beginning and the end off. There was a thing to tag people. I'm not going to tag people because I feel like this is one that I feel like if you're watching this and you want to do something that will make you happy, do this tag. You're tagged. You have my permission to do it. If you've never been here before and this is your first video that you're watching of mine, I hope it's not too rambly. I do normally edit my videos. I'm trying this out to see how it goes, because it will just save time and it will mean that I upload a bit more regularly if I can do some one-shot videos. And if you have never been here before and you like this rambling nonsense and you think maybe I'll stick around, hit the subscribe button. If you don't know what to do, if you want to leave me an emoji of something that makes you very happy, that would be lovely as well. And hopefully I'll see you again here soon. Bye.